Hello, hello, welcome to the Mystic Path. This will be your full moon in Libra reading. I channeled a bunch of information earlier, well, about a week ago when the month started, about kind of like the month and what's going to be happening. And my guides gave me some information on some crystals that'll be most helpful this month, what chakras will be challenged the most this month, and other things about the moon. We also have our moonology, full moon in Libra. We've talked about before on this channel, full moons are about letting things go, releasing them, moving on from them. Also heavy into reflecting on the last, what's been happening in the last month. Anything that may be challenging us, etc. So, so let's get started because there's a lot to go over. So we talked about, I think in the last full moon, how, full moons have like nicknames because the indigenous people would give the moons nicknames to help them mark time before, there were like calendars and clocks and all of that. So this full moon in Libra is sometimes called the growth moon or the relationship moon, but more commonly it's called the pink moon. Not because it's pink, but because the indigenous people noticed every time this moon came around, it corresponded with early springtime blooms of this wildflower native to North America called the creeping phlox or moss phlox, otherwise known as moss pink. So that's why they named this the pink moon, because there were pink flowers blooming around that time, right? This moon is a very important moon to like do the work you need to do and find your footing, because this is our last full moon before eclipse season hits, and we're going to have some eclipses coming up. And eclipse season always kind of shakes things up. So you're kind of want to get what kind of phrase is that? You're going to want to get grounded and kind of deal with anything that's coming up this month so that you're on more stable footing, so that when eclipse season starts, you don't spin out of control with that energy of eclipse season, right? So this full moon is rising in the sign of the air sign of Libra. Okay. Before I go any further, these are the decks we're going to use so that anybody who wants to know and likes them or whatever. Okay. So now we'll get back to what. This is our Moonology Oracle deck. So we're going to read. Well, let me talk about kind of what I channeled, and then we'll read what the card says about the new moon or the full moon in Libra. I'm sorry, I misspoke. This is a full moon, not a new moon. Okay. So Libra is an air sign. Libra is associated with relationships, partnerships, social connections, and balance of our lives, of our body, etc. Now, this can mean business relationships, romantic relationships, sibling relationships, familial relationships, friend relationships. There's lots of other relationships other than like romance and love. And, the internet seems to cling on to the love stuff. But there's a lot of soul growth in all of these other, avenues as well that we need to pay attention to. So this moon is going to bring in some perspective that's going to make it, this energy is going to be very supportive of making it easier for us to compromise. It's going to make us be able to see somebody else's point of view more easily. So that's always good, right? Because, it's always good to step outside of ourselves and see someone else's point of view, try to understand someone else's point of view. And that's what helps us grow, right? And kind of change and adapt our belief systems and patterns of behavior. Because we all need to do that. Like the whole reason we're here, we've talked about before, Earth is like a school. We come here to grow our soul, and that's why I'm doing these videos, to kind of help anyone who needed it. I know I needed it a lot. I still need it sometimes, but when I was first awakening and learning about all this stuff, there was a lot of crazy chaos going on in my life, right? And so these things helped me navigate all that crazy chaos to where now I have a solid foundation and I'm balanced and I'm in a more stable place and position to deal with the things that come up, the conflicts, the insecurity, whatever it is. So that's why I do these videos, in a hope to, if somebody needs to hear this stuff and it helps you, please like, share, subscribe, comment below. Because I really do like to hear if it's helping you, because, these things helped me, so I like to try and pay it forward. Okay, so let's get back to it. So also, though, this energy will have a tendency to make us feel very sensitive. So we need to be very careful of a couple of things from this full moon to the end of the month. We need to be careful that we aren't reactive, okay? We need to not be reacting to things right away. We need to take a pause, process, right? Then react, because reacting can really get us into trouble. Also, this energy is going to bring up some old wounds from childhood, from past relationships, and that, we're going to be very sensitive to that. And this energy has a tendency to want us to kind of like put on rose-colored glasses and kind of like pretend everything's the way we want it to be. But, doing that isn't going to really help us with the soul growth, right? Putting on rose-colored glasses is not really going to help us grow, because that's kind of keeping us stuck in a fantasy. And this energy right now, it's going to be very, very important to ground. The Earth chakra card is out here, and we're going to talk at length about both of the chakra cards out here today. But this one in particular, my guides told me it's going to be very important from this full moon until the end of the month. The Earth chakra needs to be grounded, and if it is not, you're going to have a very rough ride, because you're going to be like floating up and not really grounded and dealing with the issues at hand, right? Which sometimes seems like it would be a good idea, right? To escape and just float away and live in the fantasy. But, there's consequences to that. the fantasy. At some point, you have to acknowledge the fantasy is not real. And then all of that stuff that you've been avoiding dealing with is going to be there. And then you're going to be really overwhelmed, right? So this is why we want to try to stay grounded and deal with what we have going on here. So let's continue. Let me look at my notes here. Oops. Sorry, I just dropped a box of cards. Okay, so what I was just saying is like this full moon this energy is gonna churn up our emotions. It's gonna bring to the surface things that need to be addressed, and where it's gonna bring our attention to places that we need to be nurtured. And like I said, there may be some childhood, ancestral, or even just personal wounds from your own life that are going to be coming up now. And it's going to be very important that we nurture these wounds and we try to understand these wounds. And we're compassionate and loving and forgiving if we have to be forgiving with these wounds. We want to try to use these wounds and these emotions that come up to fuel us to rise up and have the courage to make changes in our lives, in our behavior, in our patterns, in our thoughts, instead of like wallowing in them. And the good news is the energy right now around this full moon is going to be very supportive over authenticity over all else. So there's not going to be a lot of patience. You're not going to have a lot of patience for people that are making excuses, or people that are wallowing, or people that aren't owning their shit and aren't being accountable, right? So that's why earlier I was saying we're going to want to be very careful and not be reactive, because you don't want to create bigger wounds by reacting harshly or negatively to somebody's non-accountability, right? So that's why I'm talking about this, because the energy is going to be ripe and you're going to want to value authenticity over everything else. You're going to, like, if people are coming to you still trying to wear a mask, still trying to make excuses and not take accountability for their behavior, you're going to have very little patience for it. So you're going to want to stay grounded and take a pause and think about what you're saying next, right? You don't want to be reactive, because that's just that could make the wound worse for you, for them, etc. Right? So like I said, we want to try to use this disruption in our emotions to give us the courage to like take a step forward, to rise above, to be better at our communication, at our reactions to things. Let's see. Okay, so like I was saying, there's going to be a lot of stuff that may come up. The best way to deal with this stuff coming up is going to be to honor the emotions that are coming up. I just recently had it happen the other night. I was having trouble sleeping, and then all of this past relationship stuff that I thought was like done and buried from a couple of years ago started coming back. And then it was confusing, because I was like, wait a minute, I thought I dealt with all of this. And then I ended up crying a little bit. But as soon as I did that, I fell right to sleep. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, I didn't resist it. I didn't I'm not going to think about this. This is long and over. I just let the thoughts happen. I kind of tried to understand, like, why could this be coming back up? What could it be trying to teach me? What was my part in it? What could have I done better, right? Then like I said, I was overwhelmed with sadness, and I just let it come, and I honored it. And then once I did that, I fell asleep and slept like a baby, right? So that's going to be the best way to get through under this full moon. You need to trust your intuition, and you just kind of need to Nurture yourself. Be vulnerable, nurture yourself. Try not to resist. Try not to shove your feelings down or push things off to be dealt with another day, right? Because that's really never beneficial. So you're kind of going to want to feel like letting go of the power struggle. Or if you're not feeling that way, that's what the energy is supporting. So you should try to do your best. If in any of your relationships there's just like petty power struggles going on, you're going to want to try to make changes and try to change that behavior so that that's not happening. I'm sorry, my nose is itching, which always happens when the guides are here. Okay, so there is a like harmony vibe to this energy around the full moon here. So try to like lean into that vibe, right? If you're taking a pause and not reacting, it's going to be easier to kind of lean into the seeing somebody else's point of view vibe, to compromising vibe, right? We're going to want to read, because like I said, we're also going to have this energy that also is like very impatient. So try to lean into this harmony vibe and not so much into the impatience reactive vibe. Okay? Something that's going to be very, very, very important around this full moon and to the end of the month is grounding. Okay? We're going to talk about that because like I just was talking about, this moon is really going to shed a light on any wounds that make us feel vulnerable and exposed. And the best way to improve our lives and our relationships is, like I said, to use this energy to rise above. We're going to need to give ourselves and others understanding, compassion, forgiveness. Okay? Something very important to remember during this time is everyone you meet is fighting some kind of battle inside that we know nothing about. And so be kind. It doesn't cost us anything. Now, granted, if somebody, because I know how people are in the comments, if somebody is like beating the shit out of you, I don't suggest be kind back to them, okay? That's not what I'm saying here. Obviously, if you're in a traumatic, abusive situation of any kind, you need to follow your intuition and get out and do what's best for you in that respect. But I just mean, when we're dealing with the people in our lives and the people we come across in the world, everybody's struggling with something. Even the people that you think are the most put together and the strongest are struggling with something. You just may not be aware of what it is. So if we could all just be a little bit more understanding to each other and compassionate and nurturing, and this will help us all, right? And it's going to be a very emotional time for a lot of people in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So, being reactive will not help the situation for anybody. So we want to try to be kind, be gentle with each other, try to lean into that seeing the other person's point of view, right? And self-care and quiet time are going to be very, very important over these next 2 to 3 weeks. Because when some of these old personal or past life or generational or ancestral wounds start coming up, it can spin you out of control. It can make you very emotional. And so a good way to get through that is, like I was saying, honor it, be understanding and compassionate with yourself, nurture yourself. So self-care and quiet time is going to be very, very important in the next couple of weeks, okay? So now I want to move on to, well, let's actually read the Moonology, full moon in Libra. A win-win outcome is forecast. Okay, so the energy, listen, the universe is always conspiring in your favor if you so choose to trust and believe that. And I speak from experience. In the past, when I haven't trusted and believed that, my life has been a lot harder and a lot more full of suffering. But when I lean into trusting my intuition, trusting the universe, trusting that the universe has my back, that it will all work out in the way that's best for me and my soul growth and everything in my life, then that's when life gets really good and it's a lot simpler and there's a lot less suffering. So just remember that when you're feeling low and emotional, a win-win outcome is forecast. Okay, so let's read here the Moonology. Hopefully I'm holding this card where you can see it. Okay, the full moon in Libra, the sign of partnership, of falling in love, and of closely relating to someone else. Since full moons are about climaxes and conclusions, this card suggests you're either about to start a new relationship or that an important existing relationship is changing somehow, perhaps coming to an end or moving to a new level of commitment. It is important to remember that people come to us for a reason and sometimes just for a season. If a relationship is ending now, it's doing so at the right time, so try not to fight it. This card can also refer to a professional relationship or a family relationship. There is a sense that you need to balance your ego with someone else's needs. A win-win outcome is possible with give and take. Compromising might be the answer to your question. Okay, so that's great. Let me just check. I need to go check one quick thing because I smell burning. And I do have meatballs and sauce on my stove because it was like a chilly morning this morning when we woke up, and that sounded really good. And so I just want to make sure nothing on the stove is burning. Stay right there. Okay, all good. One of these little, I had ritual candles, one of them went out, so that's probably why it smells a little burny. I just wanted to not burn my dinner because I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, so now let's talk now about these cards. Got some crystal cards here and then some chakra cards. The chakra cards are from the Beyond Lemuria Oracle card deck, and the crystals are from the Crystals, Illustrated Crystals, right? So when I was channeling, I was getting quite a bit of information about how, like I was saying, there could be a tendency during the next 2 to 3 weeks to kind of like indulge in this fantasy, put on our rose-colored glasses, kind of just not really deal with the reality of a situation. And that can make us feel very ungrounded, right? And so one of the things they were saying is for the next 2 to 3 weeks, it's going to be very important that our earth chakra is healthy, cleared from blocks, and assisting us, right? If we have a healthy earth chakra, then we will be very grounded, and then we'll have more of that stable foundation, right, to deal with some of the emotional stuff that's coming in. And we're going to talk about what chakra that's going to be after this, because the most important thing here is going to be grounded, right? So we're going to talk about this earth chakra. First, I'm going to read the book on what it says, and then I have some like exercises that will help you get your earth chakra clear and grounded. And so first, okay, I hope I'm holding this. Okay, so the earth chakra, initiation, it says on here. Oh, and by the way, the earth star chakra is in our feet. It's actually a little bit below our feet in our aura, but our feet play a very, very important role. And I also, when I had channeled a bunch of this information, the next couple days, I was having some pain in my feet. And that's just because they were kind of trying to show me that clearing my earth chakra needed to be done, and that it was going to be very important this month, right? So we're going to talk more about it, but let's read what the book says. Oneness, collective consciousness, anchoring transmission from the higher realms, sacred earth knowledge, integration of the divine. You are standing at a gateway into the unknown with trust in your heart, ancient remembering in your soul, and inner illumination to light the way. You have access to the seed of creation, the spark of existence, and the codes that hold the blueprints of who and what we are. This place is clear and grounded despite moving through multidimensional realms and able to bridge worlds while functioning in physical reality. The higher you reach for the divine and the realms of spirit, the more important it is to anchor deeply into the earth. Okay. Okay, so then it says the themes of the earth chakra are integration of spirit and the eternal self. How do you balance spiritual and physical reality? Okay, and then it also says to restore the earth star chakra, explore clearing meditation, self-energy work, and put intention into the meaningful parts of your life. Find ways to balance your life. Be aware of the times of day that are more conducive to different states of consciousness, such as flow, meditation, and productivity. Okay, so we're going to talk more in depthly here about the earth chakra. This card is beautiful here. Okay, give you another good look at it if you want. All right, now, the earth chakra is below our feet in our aura, right? Because our aura of energy goes out around about 3 to 6 feet around us, depending on how much work we've done and how much trauma we've cleared. Even below our feet. So when this earth star chakra is blocked, you may be experiencing fear, anxiety, panic, worry, overthinking, depression, nightmares, feeling emotionally disconnected from the people around you, feeling disconnected from your body, feeling disconnected from the collective in general, just like life, the earth, people, culture. You also may be experiencing rage of some kind. Okay? When your earth chakra is blocked, you can also, in the physical reality, experience blood circulation problems. Your life may be very unstable and feel like there's a lot of instability. You may be having aches and pains or problems in your legs, knees, hips, or ankles, right? You may be feeling, we already said this, a lot of fear or phobias of things. You may have a lack of sense of safety and security. You may lose your balance a lot in the physical. You know, these are all signs that your earth star chakra is blocked. And, you know, that can really mess us up when we're feeling so much anxiety and worry and overthinking and depression. And trust me, I've been there. We've talked a lot on this channel about how I suffered from depression for many, 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 many years until I kind of found the tools and found therapy and worked on myself. And, you know, I've had my depression under control for many, many years now. However, it does still come back every now and then. I feel it starting to take hold, and I have to figure out why and do the work, right? So again, if you're experiencing any of the things I just listed, that is a sign that your earth star chakra in your feet is blocked and your foundation is not stable to hold you through your life, right? Both physically and mentally, because lack of balance was on there in the physical realm, right? Low circulation, that stuff. Your energetic body can affect you physically if you let it go long enough without honoring it and giving it what it needs, right? So we're going to talk about several ways that we can clear our earth chakra. Okay, first, let's talk about crystals. Because, actually, no, let's not do crystals first. Yeah. First, let's talk about earthing, okay? Earthing is basically direct contact with the earth. It's just what it sounds like, okay? Go outside barefoot and put your feet in the grass, put your feet in the dirt, the sand, the water, whatever it is. That is the most ideal way to ground your earth chakra and connect to the earth, is being barefoot outside. But if you can't do that, or whatever, you don't like to do that, taking a walk outside can also help unblock your earth chakra, okay? So when you're outside, take your shoes off, or if you're taking a walk, okay, what you're gonna wanna do is take 4 deep breaths. Close your eyes. Bring your focus to the bottom of your feet. Okay, you're going to take 4 deep breaths, like big deep ones, eyes closed, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Right? 4 times. While you're doing that, you're going to want to bring the focus to the bottom of your feet. Feel your feet connecting to the ground, right? Feel your connection to the earth, okay? Also, some people like to, and there's a meditation we're going to talk about here, and it's part of this meditation. So some people, when they're grounding, like to imagine a root, like a tree root or a cord from their feet going all the way through the earth to the core of the earth and connecting and anchoring you in there, right? Anchoring and grounding you to the earth. So that's one way. Second way, I'll talk about a meditation, since it has to do with what we just talked about with the root and the cord. So meditation is another way you can clear your earth chakra. Take 3 to 5 deep breaths, just like I demonstrated, right? Slow your breathing, close your eyes. Bring yourself into the moment. Focus on your feet. Imagine a cord or a root coming from the sky, going through your entire body, connecting through each one of your chakras, head all the way, right? Head, throat, heart, navel, pubis area, down the legs, feet, through all of the layers of the earth until it reaches the core. Imagine this root or this cord is anchoring you to the earth. Okay? Now, both of those things I just talked about, you can do either one of those things, and if you want to really get into it, you can add an additional couple things. You can add crystals or you can add frequency, right? Sound bath. So the frequency for the Earth Star is 68.05 hertz, okay? You can, if you're somebody who wants to go on a walk to ground, you can put on headphones, go to YouTube, type in frequency 68.05, and a sound bath will come up. There will be many to choose from, and you can choose one and listen to that while you're meditating or while you're walking or while you're grounding your feet into the dirt, okay? You can also add crystals to that, and the crystals for the earth chakra, we're going to talk about it we'll go ahead and talk, we're going to talk about it in a minute, okay? Because there are two other things you can do to clear your earth star chakra. You can get a foot massage or reflexology, okay? Getting that done regularly will really help keep your earth star chakra clear and keep you grounded. If you can't afford to go get massage, you can do it yourself. I did it, like I said earlier, I was having some major pain in my right foot after I had kind of channeled in all this information, and that was my guides letting me know my earth chakra needed to be cleared. So I did a meditation with a sound bath and some crystals, and then I rubbed my foot, right? I brought both of my feet up and I just rubbed all the toes, all the little metatarsals and bones in there. It actually felt really good. And while I was doing that, I was kind of in my head saying, thank you, feet, for showing up, right? Thank you for bringing me through my life, for allowing me to be able to go where I want, to walk from here to there. You know, you take your feet for granted. When my foot was hurting, it hurt for like 2 days, and I was like limping. And I thought, my goodness, how grateful I am that my feet have been healthy most of my life, right? Imagine what it would be like without your feet. It would be a lot more challenging, right? So I was rubbing my feet and I was giving them gratitude. I was saying, thank you, feet, for showing up every day. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for providing a foundation. I was rubbing them, felt really good. It actually did help loosen up whatever was going on, because now both my feet are fine. It only lasted for a couple days, but I did the work. I did all the clearings, and now I'm in good shape. So, you know, I recommend you doing the same. If yoga is your thing, mountain pose is a really good pose to heal and clear your earth star chakra. Okay. And again, while you're doing mountain pose, if you want, you can add crystals, you can add the meditation, the grounding, the imagining the root anchoring down into the core of the earth. Now the crystals that are going to be supportive of the earth star chakra, okay? Any black crystal is going to be very helpful, because our earth star chakra is a black brownish color. So I have here obsidian came out. This is obsidian. It says sharp and shadows, right? And this is obsidian here. Also, another stone good, hematite. It says anchor in, right? Hematite. And hematite is right here, the shiny black crystals. I have them on a few of my bracelets. They're there again. Okay. Also, I have here shungite. It's very good. I have shungite under my mattress, gridding my bed. That's how good it is at keeping you grounded and clear. Also onyx. I have a piece of onyx here. It's like from a necklace. It's like a charm from a necklace. Those are all going to be really helpful. You can, the best way to use crystals, you can place them on your body or you can carry them with you all day long, right? So, and again, you want to do the same thing. You kind of, if you want to use some crystals, you can put them around your feet or on your feet. Take a couple of deep, deep breaths. Like I demonstrated, set the intention that you're going to connect to the earth. You're going to clear the earth star chakra, and you're going to ground and be balanced and create a strong foundation, right? You can also wear your crystals like I do. I also have a necklace on here today. Or you can just put them in your pocket and carry them with you throughout the day. But when you do, put it in your pocket. You know, take a couple of deep breaths. Say, I'm carrying with me this obsidian to clear my earth star chakra and to heal my earth star chakra. Some people, I know, ladies, put them in their bras. You know, I mean, however you want to do it. Okay? Now, selenite is also something that came through. Sacred center, okay? And see, isn't this interesting? This card is split in two and has the two halves, right? Like a light and a dark. And I didn't even notice that until now. And when I laid all these out, I put it in the center of the solar plexus cards and crystals and the earth star chakra cards and crystals, because when I channeled this information, selenite, I channeled that it is a nice crystal to take the edge off. So if you're feeling very emotional or you're feeling this ungrounding, you're feeling any of the things I described, this selenite is going to soften it up a little bit and help it be a little less intense, right? And so I feel like it's also like for both the solar plexus stuff we're getting ready to talk about now and the earth star chakra stuff we just talked about. The selenite works for either one, and it's kind of like this bridge, it feels like. Even how I laid the cards out and the crystals out, my intuition did that. I wasn't really consciously like, oh, you know. Anyway, it's just interesting. And then I noticed like the card is the same way. It's like divided in two, like there's two sides of things going on over the next couple of weeks. Okay, so now next, the solar plexus chakra, because a bunch of information came in on this too. The reason I talked about the earth star chakra first is because to deal with what's happening and what's going to be coming up in this chakra, we're going to need to be grounded. We're going to need to be grounded, or else this stuff is going to get a lot headier, right? We're going to feel very disconnected from our body when these issues start to come up. So ground, ground, ground. I cannot say it enough. All right? So now, like I said, the solar plexus chakra also came in because this is the chakra that is going to be challenged. Okay? The earth star chakra is going to be supporting us and helping us get through the challenges that are going to be coming to the solar plexus. All right? So let's talk about the solar plexus. Well, first, let's read the book. The solar plexus is around your navel, belly button area, okay? It is yellow, and it has a lot to do with like empowerment, self-esteem, how we show up in the world, who we are, how we figure out who we are. Okay, so this makes sense that this is going to be challenged this month, because this energy is all about like relationships, right? And so let's talk about, well, first let's read here in the Beyond Lemuria deck. I'm sorry, Radiant Illumination. The solar plexus deals with your personal power, independence, self-discipline, confidence, assertiveness, decision-making, belief, intellectual abilities, expression of will, bringing ideas into reality. The solar plexus chakra is the radiant center of our being. It holds the vibrant spark that brings our passion to life. Enter this space to step away from playing small, unworthiness, the idea that you are taking up space, and insecurity-based competitiveness. Allow yourself to be attuned to the abundant life force that resides within this center, and to be energized, motivated, fueled with inspiration, enthused and clear-minded, so you can bring forth more of yourself and what you wish to birth into the world. As you discover a deep and real sense of self-empowerment, you can more confidently lift others in celebration, harmonizing differences and shifting hierarchical paradigms into collective co-creation. Remember that you are a powerful being who can connect with potent life force energy as and when you need it. Be aware of what fuels your fire, and consider circumstances where you had your power taken away. Imagine all the fragments of your energy that you have given away at some point, and bring them all back to the center of your being. The theme is your power and where you are putting your energy. Okay? Now, let's talk about this chakra specifically, right? The solar plexus, as I just read in that book, it is the center of our personal power. The power in how we handle situations, the power over our thoughts. It gives us the courage to face life's challenges and to pursue our dreams. It gives us a clear sense of ourself and who we are, okay? When our solar plexus chakra is healthy, it gives us willpower, it gives us courage, and there are very few things that will scare you to the point that you give up, right? When you're healthy in your solar plexus. A healthy solar plexus allows us to shine forth in our truth. And, recently I had a discussion with a friend the other day, and he said, he called me and was like, I quit my job. And I was like, oh, you did? Why? And he's like, and it was a new job he had just taken like 3 weeks ago. And he said, because I didn't really like it, I felt pushed into it. And I was like, you felt pushed into it? And he was like, yeah. And I said, well, you're clearly not doing your work. And he was like, what do you mean? And I said, well, because when you're doing your work and you're, clear on who you are, you cannot be pushed into anything. And he was like, you're right. So when your solar plexus is blocked and not healthy, you are very easily led by other people, and you can easily be pushed and pulled in any direction, and you can end up very unhappy very quickly that way. Because if you're not authentic and remember what I was saying earlier, this energy is all about authenticity. And when you're not showing up in your life and in the world as your authentic self, you are, you may be able to get away with that for a little while, but eventually you are going to end up um, like depressed and not having a great life experience, right? So, so this chakra kind of acts as a filter to the world. It keeps us from absorbing negativity. It keeps us, it enables us to maintain connection with our true self without being influenced by others, like I was just saying. Our desire as human beings is to connect and fit in, right? And if your solar plexus is blocked, like, you will do all kinds of crazy things to fit in. You may wear a mask. Like, you may be one person at home and show up in the world with a mask on, pretending to be like the people-pleasing person that everybody wants you to be. You may choose a career or a place to live or a path in your life based on the influence of all the people around you instead of what you really desire to do, right? If you are easily manipulated or pushed into things, or you find yourself doing a lot of things you don't want to do, those are indications that your solar plexus chakra is blocked. Okay, so and that's not really something that you want. You don't want to be easily led by other people. You want to be thinking for yourself and making decisions based on your authentic truth. When your solar plexus chakra is blocked, you may be very pessimistic. You may be sarcastic. You may put other people down. You may see yourself as a victim. You may have very low self-esteem. You may put up with bad behavior from other people or poor treatment from other people, right? You may have a lack of self-confidence. And when all of these things are happening, it can be a very frustrating experience, right? So if you are challenged in this chakra, which a lot of us are going to be challenged in this chakra, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It makes you feel inadequate, right? When your solar plexus chakra is not balanced. And when you feel inadequate, you may overcompensate, using like bravado or self-aggrandizing behavior to mask your insecurity. And over time, if you don't address what's going on with your solar plexus, you will end up very, very depressed. And I speak from experience, okay? I had a lot of work to do in this area to get out of depression. And now that I am very stable and I have been out of depression for years, my solar plexus chakra is very healthy and I have a very strong sense of self, and now I cannot be pushed into anything because I know immediately, and I can say to people, no thank you, that's not for me. That may be for you, that's great. That's not for me. Because I know, because my gut, my intuition is that strong now, and it tells me. So that's why it's very important that we pay attention to our solar plexus chakra, okay? So how can we clear this out, right? Well, there are some essential oils that can be very helpful. Cedarwood and rosemary are two essential oils, very helpful. Diffusing them or wearing the wearing the oils on your, like putting them directly around your belly button and navel. You may want to put them in some lotion. You don't really want to put essential oils directly on your skin because some people have adverse reactions because it's very concentrated. So you might want to put some lotion, put a drop or two in there, rub it around your belly button, rub it around your low back, okay? Also, I like to put a couple drops in a little spray bottle with some water, spray it around me, let it fall on me, spray it on my pillow, okay? The free sound bath frequency for healing and clearing your solar plexus chakra is 362 hertz, okay? 362 hertz. You can do the same thing. Like I said, with your earth chakra, type that into YouTube. There will be a ton of videos that come up. You can also type in solar plexus sound bath. Tons of videos will come up. Now, it's also important that depending on where you are, like if you're deep in a deep depression, you're going to have to do these things more than one time. You're not just going to be able to put essential oils on and listen to one sound bath and be like, whoop, done, cleared, right? No. You're going to have to do some work around your solar plexus. You're going to have to ask yourself the hard questions, like, why am I so easily led? Why don't I know what I want? I had a friend once who, she started doing solar plexus work, and she said to me after being into the work about a month, she said, I suddenly realized I've never had dreams. And she's like, I've never really had goals and dreams that I wanted for myself, because her self-esteem as a kid growing up was so low that she didn't even think it was possible for her to achieve anything, right? So that was something she had to work on, and it didn't just happen overnight. She spent months and months figuring out what are her dreams, what are her goals. Then she had to figure out, like, what do I need to do to make those a reality, right? And she had a lot of self-confidence issues and self-esteem issues that came up that she had to deal with over and over again until she healed that solar plexus, right? So I do just want to say that, you actually have to do the work. You can't just be like, I'm lighting a candle and carrying this crystal around and now I'm all cleared. Like, that's going to bring some stuff up, some thoughts, some patterns, and you're going to have to actually face and deal with those things, right? And ask yourself, like, why do I behave that way? Why do I think that? Where did this low self-esteem come from? Why am I so negative? Whatever it is, right? And that's how you work through the issue, right? I came from a very pessimistic family. I've talked about that before on this channel. If you haven't watched the series on shadow work that we've been working on, because I talk a lot about it in that, but pessimism is what ended up getting me depressed, right? And I had to really dig down deep, and it took me months and years even to kind of realize I'm pessimistic because I was programmed that way. I was born into a very pessimistic family. I was surrounded by other negative, pessimistic people, right? And it was hard for me to really get a handle on it and do that work and clear out that chakra until I had to not spend as much time with some of those people, because it would pull me backwards. I would be working really hard not to have such a negative view of the world, and then I'd spend some time with them, and then I'd be right back into having that negative view of the world. So until I got strong enough to have a strong sense of self, I had to limit the time I spent with people that were like triggering all those negative things, all those blocks, so that I could get a handle on those blocks and deal with those blocks, right? Does that make sense? Okay. So, frequency, we talked about, yoga poses, is the cat-cow, right? You can do the cat-cow on all fours where you stretch up like a cat. Also, something that's really good is to like kind of sit down and circle from your hips. Also, the breath of fire. Now, in the earth chakra, I talked about close your eyes, right? And you take slow in, out breaths, okay? The breath of fire is completely different. The breath of fire is kind of like about stoking the fire in your solar plexus, right? So you'll want to sit down, get comfortable, or you can stand, but I like to like kind of sit down. I put my hands on my knees, and then you're going to start breathing really quickly, fast. It's from your belly, right? You want to do it from your belly. To know that you're doing it is your belly's moving in and out very quickly, right? And that will help kind of like stoke that chakra, shake up the stagnancy, and get all those lower dense energies kind of moving through your body so that you can deal with them and purge them and release them, right? So that's another really good thing for your solar plexus. Also, self-affirmations. Like I said, it took me years to where I got to a place where I was so strong in myself that I have a strong foundation and I know who I am and I can't really be led into something I don't want to do. But it took me years to get here. And there were lots of times where I would have these like pessimistic days or days where I just thought, like I run a graphic design business. There were days where I would get in this like spiral of like, who do you think you are? You're not even good enough as a graphic designer to have a business. Like nobody's going to want to work with you, which again was just my solar plexus was blocked. So I was having all kinds of like negative thoughts about my self-image, right? And so in a way to like retrain my brain and counteract that, when that would start happening, when I would start having that negative self-talk, I would immediately stop and I would say out loud, like, I am proud of my achievements. I accept myself. I am worthy. I am good at what I do. I feel my power. I'm going to be successful. I honor myself. I love myself. And, over time, if you practice that, what ends up happening is that you all of a sudden just realize one day, like, oh, I don't really have too many negative thoughts about myself anymore, because now what happens is something will happen and I'll have one of those positive thoughts. I'll have a thought of like, well, look, like this is one mistake. Look how far you've come. Look how hard you've worked. You're really good at what you do. Don't let this spin you out of control. And then it's like you realize like, oh, those, like I've reprogrammed my brain with those self-affirmations, right? Okay. So, and then lastly, I want to talk about the crystals for the solar plexus, right? Tiger's Eye is a good one. Citrine and also peridot. So I have peridot. My grandmother her birthday was in August, and that birthstone is peridot. So she left me this ring, and it's peridot. I have a raw and a polished citrine here, both very good. Tiger's Eye, also very good. And same thing like before. Put the crystals on your belly or carry them with you or wear them. Just set the intention that I'm trying to heal my solar plexus chakra. I'm going to deal, and you also have to deal with anything that comes up, right? So we talked about this moon is going to bring up any personal wounding we may have that's like holding us back in our life. And that stuff may come up. These crystals aren't going to make that go away. These crystals are just going to make that more bearable and make it so you can do the work, right? Like when I first got diagnosed with depression, I started taking medicine. They recommended I take medicine, and I needed it because I was at a very, very low place. And the best thing I can say is like, the medicine didn't fix my depression, right? The medicine just took the edge off enough so that I could deal with my issues in therapy without having an emotional breakdown, right? So I'm no longer on medicine because I needed it for the years I needed it. I needed it to help me take the edge off, to do the work. As I started doing the work and healing, then I didn't really need the medicine anymore. I'm not giving medical advice. Listen to your doctor and your therapist. Do what they say. That's what I did. After a couple of years, I was in a better place. I was less depressed. They weaned me off the medicine. I have not had to take it again because now I pay attention and I do my work, right? And I have the tools. When I get a trigger or I feel that depression creeping back in, I know what to do now, right? So I just wanted to point out that like all of these things that I'm giving you, crystals, sound baths, meditation, yoga, none of those things just fix the problem, right? Those things are tools that help get us in a stable place so that we can then deal with ourselves, deal with the issues, do the work, right? I think we've been talking for a while now, so we're going to pull one goddess card, and then we're going to wrap it up for this one. What goddess is supporting us during this full moon in Libra? What goddess is here supporting us through the challenges of this month? One card, please. It's funny. Okay, no. I'm hearing a name in my head. I'm just interested to see if that card's going to come out. What goddess is here to help us through these challenges over the next couple of weeks? Full moon in Libra. Man, taking a minute, huh? Humor. Uzume. Humor. 49. Let's read what we got here. Uzume. When the Japanese goddess of laughter and mirth, Uzume, enters your day, be playful and cultivate good-natured humor. Laughter is the best medicine and exceptionally healing at this time. Keep your focus on fun and positivity and see the humor if you can. Life is not meant to be all work and no play, all focus and no release. Humor fosters resilience and lightheartedness, alleviates emotional pain, giving a much-needed break from the burdens and speed of life. Now is the time for you to be silly, laugh more, even take up laughing yoga, okay? Yes, the world is serious and your dreams and desires are too, but the joyful goddess Uzume reminds you to enjoy your life and have fun. Have you been taking yourself and your life too seriously lately? Has life been a burden? Do you feel indentured to a project or person? And the heaviness of it all makes it difficult to believe there could be relief? Well, the laughing goddess Uzume has arrived to let you know to stop right now and be playful. Look for the funny, ridiculous, and foolish in the world. It's time for some comedy. Be like a child today. Finger paint. Call your funniest friends and do laughing yoga. Have a giggle fest. The goddess Uzume reminds you when you get too serious, she will help you laugh. This is the right way to balance all the hard work you've been doing lately. You are so loved. Okay, so what I'm hearing as I was reading that is, you know, the next couple weeks are going to be emotional and they could shake us up a little bit. Do not forget to find the joy in life, to laugh. You know, you don't have to, like, when you're doing the work, yes, it can be difficult, but you don't have to just be like, well, I'm doing the work today, so I'm not allowed to have any fun, right? So the point of this is, you know, find some joy, laugh, tell jokes, watch a comedy. You know, when you're feeling that it's too much and you're overwhelmed, laugh. Okay, we're going to leave it there. I think we've been talking for a while. Have a wonderful day. night, weekend, week, whatever it is for you. Wishing you love, health, happiness. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.